6:30. We were all asleep in bed. There's 10 of us here, 3 generations of the family. So my husband and I woke up being shaken from side to side in the bed is what it felt like. It probably continued for 6 or 7 seconds after we'd woken up.
So you feel this shaking. What did you do after that? Because those are the moments that are extremely dangerous. And were you in an older home or in something that was newer construction?
Yeah, we're in a 200-year-old converted farmhouse, a holiday rental. We stayed in a couple of times before, so quite an old property, fully renovated, obviously, but not built with modern, shockproof technology or anything. Our children were in the bedroom next door to us, so our immediate reaction was to wait until the shaking died down and then go and check on them to make sure they were okay.
Did the home that you were renting, did it experience any damage? Have you seen any damage around? And is everybody okay? Did anyone receive any injuries during all this?
Yeah, no injuries. Everybody is fine. The ceiling, part of the ceiling in one of the bathrooms collapsed. We'd think just plaster coming away, but it's caused quite a lot of damage in the bathroom. Fortunately, no one was in there at the time. We're in a very rural area, so I can literally only see one house from where we are. That appears to be okay, and we've spoken to the neighbours. They're okay.
Can you tell me exactly where you are, the name of the village that you're in?
We're outside of a village called San Venanzo, near Monte San Martino.
Okay.
So I think we're around 20 kilometres. Sorry.
Okay. No, fine. We're looking at pictures that I think you have sent us. We're looking at that damage. You talked about the bathroom having quite extensive damage, and we can see that now. We're looking at some of the cracks in the walls, it appears, and I'm assuming those were not there when you got there, correct?
Correct. I don't think that anything is structural. I think it is all internal cracking of plaster. The external of the building appears to be fine. But
we're not seeing huge chunks of stone or anything like that, but we are seeing some of the plaster, and we are seeing the cracks there. Do you have any other friends, family that are in the area that you have tried to contact or have heard from anybody who is closer to the epicenter?
We have spoken to the lady who looks after the property, for the owner. She drove down to make sure we were okay. I believe they have a little more damage than we do, but they're not far from where we are, so not much closer to the epicentre, I don't believe.
I'm sure this is extremely scary for the family. Has the family ever been through an earthquake before? You don't get these really in Britain.
No. No, obviously in the UK it's not something we experience very often at all. So I think the family are probably more shaken than people who would live in this area or parts of America where it's quite frequent. But we're all okay. We're a little bit shaken. There are still a few aftershocks happening. We had one around half an hour ago that was fairly significant. So just being careful and making sure we're close to open space.
Yeah, nothing rattles your nerves more than when the ground shakes beneath you and there's nothing you can do about it. I do want to ask you about traveling out. Do you have plans to leave as you are on holiday with the family? And have you assessed at all what the roads may look like? I imagine, will you be flying out of there or will you be taking a train? How will you exit?
We have flights booked from Pescara, which is around 2 hours drive down the coast. I don't know what the roads will be like, but we're only at the start of our holiday, so we have another 11 days or so. Okay, well, Eve, thank you so much. Eve Reed joining us and telling us what she felt when this 6.2 magnitude earthquake hit. And the family certainly felt it, but everyone's okay, and we're glad to hear that. We are going to now go to CNN contributor Barbie Nadeau, who joins us now with more details. She is traveling from Rome closer to the epicenter. Barbie, what can you tell us that you've heard at this hour?
Well, at first light, people are able to assess the damage a lot better. And what we're hearing are reports upon reports of collapsed buildings in some of these smaller towns. And there's a tiny town where near the epicenter, which, as you refer to, half the town is gone, according to the mayor. We've heard on Italian media people calling in from that area, speaking obviously in Italian, telling about just the horror and the sound of the crumbling buildings. That's been one of the distinctive factors, is the sound of a stone building falling down. People describing that just as that's collapsing. You can imagine it, what that could sound like. These areas, as we've talked about before, are so remote and so beautiful. That's what draws people to the area. These old stone structures, 200, 300-year-old buildings that people have renovated and rented out to tourists, or that people have kept in their family for years and years and are enjoying the last of the summer holidays out there. The area is very, very populated, and this is one of the concerns by civil protection authorities. They can't get to the areas. The roads are the roads are collapsed. The bridges are collapsed. So many of these places, these hilltop villages, are connected by old stone bridges, or even modern bridges that are compromised and just aren't safe for any sort of heavy equipment. We've got lots of reports of people going through the rubble, trying to find find survivors. Listen for voices. Lots and lots of stories of people being pulled out alive. Lots and lots of stories about ambulances in the area, as well as people are calling into local radio shows and things like that to tell their horrific experience about this 3:30 a.m. earthquake and the aftershocks. We understand as well that the second aftershock, the one that happened about 4:45, is what caused a lot more of the collapse. The first one obviously compromised those structures. The second aftershock, it seems, is the one, according to a lot of these eyewitnesses and people who were affected, is the one that really caused the damage in these buildings to collapse.
We heard from a riot reporter who talked to us a little bit, too, about the fact that this is the summertime. There are a lot of people who go to this part of central Italy to enjoy themselves, to enjoy their summer. And we've also been looking at new pictures that have come into us from the area, and we are seeing some major damage in the area. Huge amounts of stone that have clearly collapsed buildings. We're seeing people with flashlights looking around. We're seeing people standing outside of those structures, obviously trying to keep away from being hit by some of those stones. I think we're seeing some pictures right now of people hugging each other, and now someone driving down some of these roads. And I know that you had spoken about the potential that the roads are going to be hard to traverse. You had talked about authorities trying to get in there. What is the situation